This is going to be the Honor Society information that we're going to go ahead and get across to you. I am Mr. Broviak, that's Mr. Henderson. We have Miss Oskay, Mr. Stump, other random people here. Did you want to talk or did you want me to?
It does not matter.
All right. I'll start off for it. If you got the letter, congratulations. All that means is that you are smart, and that is it. All that did is we went through the list and we had to find a cutoff point. And so it is basically what we call an A- average, which technically is not the way of looking at it. It is 10 points on a 12-point scale, but saying that just makes your brain hurt. So instead we just call it an A- average. We had to go through there and do all the math to figure out where that cutoff thing is. That letter says congratulations. You made that first part of the cutoff. To get to the next level, there is an application process you are going to have to go through. The first step was just that part. The next thing that we're going to talk about here. If you are completely unfamiliar with the National Junior Honor Society, or the NJHS, it is essentially our good kid club, where you have to go out and make the world a better place. Our goal is that we want to create leaders in our school. So we had to find a way to create leaders in our school. The Honor Society is how we establish who those leaders are in our school. Whether you are a globetrotter or a star or a hero, we need kids to step up and be leaders. We started this years ago because there were issues at the high school.
1974.
Not 1974, where we saw the fact that there were issues at the high school where we had kids who were coming in as freshmen and sophomores who did not have kids, who were the leaders in those groups of kids. So instead of complaining about it, we decided to solve that problem by training leaders. So we created this club. The overall idea is we're going to train you to be leaders. So part of that is, if you came to the International Fair last Friday, then you might have seen the kids running around in the red shirts who were helping point things out, or wearing or painting faces or reading books or doing any of those things. Those are Honor Society kids, helping make the world a better place. If you did the preview day before school started and you had a kid in a red shirt walk you around the school, show you where your classes are, that was our Honor Society kids. If you went through elementary school here and you went to any of the carnivals or the movie nights, those people that ran that, those were our Honor Society kids. And as I told my heroes earlier today, when you were younger, you probably thought those were adults. They were not. But when you're in second grade, anyone that seems older than like middle school feels like an adult to you. So congratulations to a kindergartner, you're already an adult. But we send them out to the elementary schools to help run things. Some of you, in your best class, you might have 8th graders that come back in there and help and volunteer, whether it's helping out kids or helping in the room. Those are some of our Honor Society kids. They also help at Conner Prairie. They help throughout the community, help in any number of ways. If you choose to become part of the Honor Society, you have to earn 50 volunteer hours before you graduate 8th grade.
That's
now,
crazy.
Sorry, he was trying to voice the thought in your head when you were freaking out. You have a year and a half to get there. All you have to really do is get roughly 10 hours each 9 weeks. You'll be fine. It's not nearly as awful as it sounds, as long as you put a little bit of effort and work into it. You'll be able to get there. You also have to volunteer some through the school, but we'll get there as we get into it. If you choose to go down this path, each of your different teams have different requirements for you a wee bit. There'll be a major thing you're going to have to do, which is going to be the overall application. But if you're a globetrotter, then Mr. Peterson, Mr. Fossil, Mr. Sturgeon, there are things they are going to ask and require of you.
Can I just interrupt that if they didn't know who the Globetrotter teachers were and they're a Globetrotter, I don't want them to apply for NASCAR.
That'd be the first step. If you're a words, who cares about English? In that case, know that first step. If you are with Stars, with Kletch or Jansen.
Anybody, they didn't know what team they were on and who their teachers were, they shouldn't apply.
Yeah, you should. Never mind. Whoever it is that you have, they require. Like for me, on the Heroes team, we're currently doing speeches. If you decide to go down the path of Honor Society, one of the first things you have to do with speeches, you volunteer first every time we do a speech because you're a leader. That's what leaders do. So I don't know if that's what Globetrotters or Stars ask of their kids, but I tell my kids, if you want to go down this path and you want to be a kid that I see as being a top-notch above the other kids, then you step up and become top-notch and above the other kids. So once you get labeled Honor Society, same thing's going to happen in 8th grade. Because 8th graders are going to know who those Honor Society kids are. They know they can come to you first. If you choose to do the application process, it should be up on the website. Yes. Now's the part where you kick in. It's up on the website.
Yeah, everything is on the website that you would need.
And that is on their letter?
No. So what will happen if you make a decision that you think you want to apply? First of all, let's clarify that you did not get a letter to get into National Honor Society.
No.
You met one requirement, which was a grade. That's it.
And it was easy.
The easiest part of getting into National Honor Society. It's the one thing that is not subjective. Your first semester grades earns you the right to potentially be in National Honor Society. In other words, it earns you the right to apply for it. The application is online. There's a website. You will get a letter from either me, if you're a Globetrotter, a letter from Mr. Stump, if you are a Star, and a letter from Mr. Brobiak, if you are a Hero, that has the information about the application, including the link to that page. And then you will print off the application for yourself, read through it, and understand everything. But we ask you to get that directly from us so we know which of our students are going to apply, or at least are thinking about applying. You will then turn that application directly into each of us, and we will pass it on to Mr. Henderson once we have confirmed that you have applied.
Hi, I'm in charge.
Hi.
Robiak thinks he's in charge.
No, I just pretend. The grade part was objective. Objective means it has nothing to do with our opinions. That's the good part. Now the next part is all subjective, which means it's all our opinions on whether you go through the next round. If you choose to move forward, you have to fill out an application. The application is where you prove to us that you are a good person and someone that we want to have be part of our club. Because we are choosing leaders. And just because you're smart does not make you a leader. There's a number of kids who are smart and are also horrible people. You might look around in here now and go, how'd that kid get in here? That's why it's subjective in the next part. Because that's where we start removing those kids. Because some of you are smart, but not necessarily Honor Society material. Some of you are smart and also lazy. Because the first part of the application is, you're writing an essay. Not one essay, 5 essays. And you have to convince us through 5 essays. 4?
We don't do scholarship because that's already been taken care of.
Never mind. It just got easier. We just got rid of one. It's down to 4 essays. Look at that. You're a fifth of the way done. So you have to have 4 essays where you're going to convince us about why you should be a part of it. Then, after you fill out the application, which tells us more about you and your background. Now, a quick timeout if you're watching this video later. On the application, it's going to have questions about what good things have you done to change the world up to this point. For some of you, the answer is nothing. That is fine. We actually do not judge you on that. Because there's every chance this is your first time to make the world a better place. We're not going to judge you on the fact that your past has not given you the opportunity. It's just, we're curious to know if you've done a thing. If you went into like National Burning Puppy Saving Club and all you did was go around and save burning puppies, that's great to know. But if you've never done a thing, this might be the first thing that you get to do. That's also okay. So we don't judge you on that. If you turn it in with your past background is completely blank and you said, I've done nothing but play Fortnite to get good grades for the past 12 years, we're not going to judge you on that yet.
I will be judging you on that.
There may be some minor judging.
Minor.
But that's where the essays come in, where you explain that Fortnite has made you a better person, and you're going to use those skills to change the world with some very creative writing. Also, you have to get, it is 3 still, mate. We're checking my numbers in math. 3 recommendation letters? Or is it 2?
Sure. What? 2.
2? Once again, it just got easier.
What? Sorry.
It was 3 recommendation letters. Now it's only 2 recommendation letters. Where you have to have 2 people, adults, write a letter of recommendation saying why you're a good person.
Or timeout. or just fill out the form that is there.
Correct.
They don't even have to write anything. They can just check off the form. They don't even have to write. They can. That's fine. That helps. But it can just be a quick
Correct.
check this form out.
They cannot be related to you.
I have 7 teachers. How do I choose just 2?
You cannot use parents. You cannot use grandparents. You also, unfortunately, cannot use anybody who is on the Honor Society and helps run it. So if you have like me or Henderson or Stumpf or Sturgeon, we can't write them because or Oskay. I apologize. I need to skip over you there.
You also cannot use any classroom teacher for 7th grade. Now, you could use a teacher, let's say that you are a cheerleader, and you have Ms. Foreman in class, but she is your cheer coach. She can do a recommendation for you as your cheer coach. Mr. Broviak cannot do a recommendation for cross country because he's on the faculty council. So you can't use him for that. So no classroom teachers that you have right now, and no teachers that are on the faculty council.
Which means the people that are off limits are Miss Oskay, Mr. Sturgeon, Mr. Stumpf, Mr. Broviak, Mr. Jansen, Mr. Baker, Miss Ada, Mrs. Watson, or Mr. Zeno.
Now, we fully expect you to probably go back to Sand Creek or to go back to the elementary schools. They are fully aware of this. Every year, around January and February, they get inundated with all of these requests for recommendation letters. They're expecting it. But if you are rude when you request it, we also find out about that. If you email them the day before it's due and go, hey, Mr. Straggy, I need this tomorrow. Do it now. We find out about it and he goes, hey, I got a request last night at the last minute. Here's how it looked. I'll let you make your own decisions. We'll make decisions. So you're going to, contacting them is fine. Doing it politely is going to be even better. Now, you can also go through church, or if you're part of Cub Scouts, or Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, anything that just babysit, neighbors that don't hate you, any number of adults that you have, if you have connections to you, you're just going to have to find those adults, 2 of them, and that'll be also included. Then you're going to turn that packet in to either me or Stumpf or Sturgeon, and then the scary part happens.
Oh no.
None of that's the scary part yet. That's the part you have control over. The scary part is once you hand it to us, we then contact all of your current teachers and say, what issues are you having with this kid? Is there any reason to believe they are not currently a leader or have no chance of being a leader if we take them under our tutelage? And we contact all of them. Then we have to go on from there to then make our decision at that point on whether you would be a good fit for what we're looking for. Would you yell at me?
4 minutes.
Thank you, I appreciate that one.
Don't wait on letters of Rick.
You are going to want to get this done sooner rather than later. I will tell you now, for heroes, ours is not due on the due date. Ours is due before that due date. Because if you are a leader, we don't wait to the last minute. We lead. Can you turn it in at the last minute? Absolutely. Do I take that into consideration? Absolutely. You get to live and die by your choices. Globetrotters and stars, your teacher will give you whatever choices they have to go from there. Do you have questions? I'm sure you probably do. Will your parents have questions? I'm sure they probably will. Here's the tough part.
You're not going to answer.
You need to contact us about questions. If your parents contact us about questions, we judge you for it. You need to step up as a leader. And when Mama and Papa say, hey, what about this? Your response is, I'll find out about that. Because if they start contacting us, that tells us you're not responsible. That goes towards part of your recommendation. So when you talk to them, you need to let them know you are in control of this. You got this. Coots, come forth. Give a pass.
So, parents will probably think some of us are rude because if they send us an email, I either ignore it or I just say, please ask your child or please have your child contact us. That's how it comes down to it. We will not answer questions from parents because you should be answering your parents' questions. I understand sometimes you're not in control of that. I'll let you know, hey, your mom's bugged me about NJHS, go talk to her. So don't have parents contact us. The due date, just so people can have an idea here, you'll get all this info when you talk to one of your teachers tomorrow. Not today, you got to sleep on it. Think about this.
Really?
But just so you know, February 13th is the due date for the applications. If they are turned in on February 3rd, they're due by 3 o'clock. If you come to us at 3:01 with an application and turn in, we will not accept it. If you are violently ill and puking and throwing up on February 13th and you were going to turn in your application that day, you better find a way to make it into school. Because if you're waiting until the last minute to turn in this application and then something horrific happens, yep, you didn't get your application in time. Too bad. Get it in early.
Goes back to that
Wait
responsibility
till the
and being a
last minute,
leader thing.
Suffer the last minute consequences.
Yep.
Because here's the reality, and I do this to make it sound kind of mean, we don't want all of you in National Honor Society. Because this is a gigantic group. This is way too many people that we don't need this many. It'd be great if about 75 to 80 of you chose not to apply. That would be awesome. That would give us a good, manageable number to have fun with. I would be disappointed probably if a few of you chose not to, but we really don't want everybody to apply. We only want it if you want it. We don't want it if your parents want it. Mr. Brobiak has sent an email to his student or to his parents saying, hey, please don't push your child into doing this because you'll end up dropping out.
Yep, and be unhappy. And they'll be unhappy.
Now, Mr. Stump, I don't think has talked about the grade comment you wanted to share.
Yes. If you are sitting there going, I have no idea how I got in, I worked like crazy, and I got an A- average by the skin of my teeth, this might not be for you. School's going to get harder. Grades are going to be harder to get. Now, I'm not saying if you're a hard worker and you're expecting to get the grades that you got, definitely apply. But if you're sitting there going, this was the luckiest I've ever been in my entire life, and I will never have these grades again, then don't waste your time or our time.
For 80 to 85% of you, the best grades you will have in junior high are first semester. Rarely do people's grades get better. A lot of people maintain them, absolutely. Rarely do people's grades get better, and often they get worse, because the first semester of 7th grade is super easy. And if you're sitting there going, dude, no, it wasn't, yeah, then you probably shouldn't apply because your grade's going to drop and you'll get kicked out because you won't be able to maintain your grade point average. Because you have to maintain the grade point average at every semester. Okay, so that is something to think about also. One of our officers, Ms. Carter, wants to share something with you.
So we do have an NJHS Instagram, which you can follow. It's NJHS_FJH. So we post like different pictures of volunteers and like things we do. So if you want to get a better understanding of
Sorry for the interruption. Just to reiterate, bus 58, the bus will be late today. All students who ride bus 58 report to the cafeteria. If you ride bus 58, report to the cafeteria.
So if you want to get a better understanding of what NJHS is or some of the events that make the NJHS, people who, like the 8th graders that are in it, what they do, places they have been, then you can go check out the Instagram.
Also, in the bio of the Instagram, there is a website. If you don't know how to get to that, it'll be there. You can DM us, like officers.
Guys,
There's a link to the NJH website and the info and links portion of my website.
Okay.
if you want to apply, you need to approach Brobiak, Stump, and Sturgeon directly to ask for
Not all of us.
the info.
One of us.
Okay.
Okay, ask one of them, because apparently you have to ask all of them.
What?
Can you get kicked out of the jail?
Yes!
Yes, absolutely.
How?
For two things.
You do stupid things and your grades drop and you don't get hours. Any
you
of
go.
those things can get you kicked out.
That's the
And we announce it to everybody, and we run it as an announcement. You've probably heard of it. No, we don't.
You can get kicked out. We don't make a big deal of it. It's part of being human nature. If your grades drop, we remove you. If you don't go out and do your hours, we remove you. If you get in trouble with teachers, you can get removed also. As long as you don't do those three things, you're fine.
We lose people every year, but it happens. It's not a big deal. And it doesn't affect you in high school whatsoever.
It doesn't go on your permanent
It's
record
not
or anything
connected
like
to high
that.
school.
Bill Sapp.
Did we get kicked in the application? Did we get that now or is that
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Or Thursday.
Got to think on it, sleep on it, contemplate.
It's not a rash decision.
Call your what?
Can we have more than 2 recommendation
You may.
letters?
Yep.
Taylor.
Brown.
Why?
Have a good day.